Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, I wanted to make a video just regarding just negativity in general, and in fact, we're coping with the coronavirus and dealing still with a lot of pessimism and negativity at this time. Well, what I wanted to basically touch up on is that people at this time is that it's a very critical time, and whether we're dealing with a crisis, and whether you take it seriously or not, the point is, I think what has to be conveyed, and people need to understand, is that it's really not about sweating the small stuff at this time. It's not about being derisive or negative toward people. We need at this time to have a lot of positive energy. There's a lot of people out there that are very negative, very pessimistic, and very despondent, and I would put myself in that category. I have a lot of negatives going my way right now. I'm almost 50 years old. I don't have a significant other. I live a life where I'm fairly isolated. I'm not near a bus stop where I'm currently at. I become very reclusive. It's at a point right now where things can be seen as very negatively for a lot of people, and myself included. But what we have to do at this time is try to accentuate whatever positive we can. I mean, of course, the coronavirus, we try to take, most of us, I'm sure, taking certain precautions and health measures. I'll be like looking at some things like on my Facebook feed, and there'll be people that'll be talking about, well, maybe I'm waiting on the wrong I'm waiting on someone to contact me. That's the wrong person. That might be a potential love or something similar to that, something comparable. And the thing about it is, we have to just really focus on more things that are positive. The same people that sometimes we might chastise or we might condemn are also, these are maybe some people that may have actually helped us in other ways. Like, I've had times when people have written me right over on my, like on Facebook. Of course, a lot of you know me from my YouTube astrology channel, and the thing is, as you know, my comments are disabled on. There's reasons for that, and a lot of it was because I was getting inundated and bombarded with a lot of questions. Some days it was taking me literally about 2.5 hours to respond to them. I felt like if I had to respond to one, I had to respond to many. But getting to my point, there would be some people that have written me, and asking questions pertaining to their astrological chart, and I would respond to them. And then and sometimes you may have people like that will, after you've helped them out with that, they'll still be negative toward you and look at what you didn't do, or the fact that your response time was poor. People have to understand, in times like this, and especially if you're going through a negative, just general situation, you're dealing with some kind of personal adversity or what have you, you may not always be in the mood or feel like responding to people. It's something where you just you do the best you can, and people have to understand it's not a personal thing in most instances, and don't take it so negatively like it had something to do with you, because in most cases it really doesn't. And that's another thing I'm going to get with people, because a lot of people, they're dominated by this situation with the coronavirus, and what happens is, okay, it's interesting because we look at the distancing. Like, we have these stipulations that are associated with social distancing, like that 6-foot rule. Like, you can't come within 6 feet of somebody, like when you're in the stores or what have you. But I think what's happened too with people is that, at least on a subconscious level with some, that they're distancing themselves on social media from others, and one thing has nothing to do with the others. We can't, we're not going to contract the coronavirus from somebody, obviously, on social media. But what I think's happened is that there's some people, the way it's affected them, they become more isolated in real time, in real life. In the outer world, they've been forced to become isolated, Now what's happened is, I think what happens with some people, not saying everybody, not stereotyping, but with some people, they're on the social media, and they just and they distance themselves from others. I mean, I may be included in that. I don't really write too many people anymore. But the thing, I mean, I write, but not a whole lot to people. And the thing about it is, people have to understand that being if you're going to be negative, don't always think that if somebody's not answering or not responding to you, that it's about you. I mean, I haven't exactly been Mr. Popularity for a long time. As I stated earlier in the video, I'm almost 50 years old. There's no significant other. I've had to deal with my own stuff. And when you start thinking, well, why wasn't this person there for me? Why weren't they? Well, you have to ask yourself, were you there for that person when they needed you? A lot of people that I've known have just pretty much dissipated into thin air. They've inexplicably no communication. There's just nothing. But the point I'm making is, we could all be negative and have our thoughts dominated by these things, but what we got to focus on really is doing what we have to do and move forward, and also focus on the positive in others. This coronavirus situation has gotten a lot of people down, I'm sure. There's people out there that were really a lot more, especially people that are generally very gregarious, very extroverted, and what's happened was they've been forced to live a life that they're not accustomed to. Now with me, anybody that knows me as well as they think they do knows that I'm a very introverted, introspective person, and I'm somebody which has really been more adaptable to this than the average person. It's affected, obviously, this coronavirus situation has affected people that were more outgoing, that were more gregarious, more extroverted than the people that were pretty much to themselves, like me. People that didn't really go out much, whether it was because of the personality of the person, whether it was by circumstances, or a combination of those elements. This is something too. And there's also, I mean, it's just the fact that I think what's happened is that this situation, this coronavirus, has given more time to people that are at home more, and they're dominated by their home interests. When you're by yourself in a lot of instances, and you're not dealing with people, there's more time to think about things, of course, and you're thinking more about the negativity of others and the negativity in issues. Dr. Phil, and I'm sure you're Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz recently, they got some flack for what they for things that they said that were considered controversial, I guess, to a lot of people. And I'm not saying people were wrong for criticizing them, but I mean, think about this. They're talking about, okay, the coronavirus situation, right? And they're saying, well, people are going to die, and this, and the thing about it is, that was a situation where I think the reason they got a little bit chastised for what they said, it was a lot about how they put it. They were talking about, well, so I don't remember if it was Dr. Oz or Dr. Phil, but one of them said something, we're talking about like a 2 or 3% mortality rate. I guess they're referring to the fatality rate as a result of the coronavirus. If you were to open the economy sooner than later, you could have these kids, or going to or letting these kids continue the education or whatever, whether it's college or what have you, you'd have 2 to 3% mortality rate. And the thing about it is, people saw them as looking at it kind of in a nonchalant manner. Well, the reality is that with the coronavirus, could it be possible, okay, if you confine people more because of the coronavirus and use these restrictions that would prevent people from going out more, could you have possibly more people that may die in that situation, in contrast to opening the economy, letting more people out, get rid of these stipulations and restrictions? I mean, it's possible, because I think theoretically it's possible, because the people that are at home, You might have people maybe that are dying from impoverished situations, from starvation, malnutrition, not being able to pay the bills. If you have, what are you going to do if you lose your house? You're going to, and you're supposed to be inside somewhere. Are people going to wind up going to the streets, and they're going to be more, and they're more susceptible to maybe being hurt by a criminal? In those cases, maybe dying, maybe being shot if they're in a bad neighborhood. Then they're on the streets, or maybe they're arrested, and then they go to jail. So the thing about this is and the point I'm making is on the positive of what, we got sometimes we just focus on the positive a little more. Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil, they have their right to their opinions on things. They may not have been entirely wrong. People were so quick to hurry up and chastise them and condemn them for what was actually being said. They didn't focus on the fact that they did have maybe some points in some of the situations. Now, for me, I do believe we really should keep the economy closed a little bit more anyway, because the coronavirus is something that spreads. And when you're talking, Dr. Phil used some example, well, you have these deaths from swimming pools and automobile accidents, but those are not contagious. But anyway, there's really not much more I wanted to say about this. It's just, I wanted to just basically, what I'm trying to convey people is that we need, at this time in our lives, to be a little bit more positive and more encouraging toward others. And if we want to distance ourselves from our friends on social media, that's our prerogative, I guess. But this is a time when we do need the support of others as well. And the thing is, just because one has to, it feels okay, they're social distancing themselves in terms of the outer world. The inner world, they still have people that they could connect with if they choose to, and it's just a matter of whether they want to do it or not, obviously. But that's really what I wanted to get at. And don't think about, try not to focus so much on the negative in individuals, and try to look at what may be the good that they have done for them. I know that I've been rejected in life. I'm sure a lot of it by women because I don't make a certain income, because of my certain stature in life. A lot of things in life aren't fair. Life is not set up, obviously, to be fair to people. It's more about where you are in life, the money you have, what you can provide for a person on a material or a monetary level. And sadly, I hate to say this about my own country, the United States, but there are a lot of superficial women here, unfortunately, and they will often go for men that have a little bit more in terms of what they can do for them, what monetarily, what they have in terms of affluence and prosperity, as opposed to their heart and what they have in terms of their substance, what they have to offer as an individual, what as a person, the love that they can actually give. So, people, we can all look at what's fair and what's not. I might die by myself, and whatever's meant to happen is meant to happen, but life does go on, right? And we could all pout about all the negatives, or this person doesn't respond to us in time, or maybe I'm or maybe I'm falling for the wrong person, and this and that. But we have to try to look at our positive aspects in people and things, because of this coronavirus. We don't know how much longer we're really going to be we're going to be around. And I hate to sound overly morose or morbid or negative, but I'm trying to just be real about this. So anyway, people, that's pretty much what I wanted to say on the matter. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.